Good morning, everyone. Welcome to MJ Tabletop Creations and Games. This is an MJ game chat. Uh, and today I'm very excited. I have a lot of goodies that came through the mail, and I'll be doing a couple of different videos on the different things that I received and, show some models and show some new rule books and all that stuff. So for this video, I want to talk a little bit about Oathmark. And I just received the Battle Sworn expansion for Oathmark on my Kindle, and I want to talk a little bit about it. A lot of the games that I get, many games these days, I get on my Kindle. It's just so easy to take it around with you, right? And just read anywhere you go, and it helps me to update, since I do so many games, to update on the rules of a particular game quickly. So it's going to be interesting trying to film my Kindle with the phone, but hey, we'll do it. So Oathmark is a game by Joseph McCullough, and those of you guys that play Frostgrave, you know McCullough very well. Frostgrave is a very popular game, and it's one of our favorite here in the studio. It's one of Julie's favorites as well. And he has a few games out there. Ghost Archipelago is another one, and that one I'm hoping we can start in the near future. Get to know that game a little bit more. And Rangers of Shadow Deep, which has become really popular and looks like an awesome game. And again, Rangers of Shadow Deep, I hope to play sometime in the future as well and go over it. So Oathmark is another rule system by this author, and of course the author's name attracted me to the book right away because I know how good his rules are. So that was one thing, but one of the more interesting things about Oathmark is the way it deals with fantasy races, right? Now, typically, we are conditioned in the fantasy genre, in the novels that we read or the games that we play. Typically, it's orcs, goblins, these are the evil factions, and usually they ally against, well, maybe evil humans or dark elves or something like that, right? And so you have always orcs against elves or orcs against humans and whatever. So we've been conditioned to this whole sort of goblins are bad guys, orcs are bad guys, and for obvious reasons. Oathmark, on the other hand, you can have an army of goblins fighting alongside elves, right, against humans and orcs, or humans and dwarves, or whatever. The thing that attracted me was the fact that fantasy racial tropes, right, are not as important in the game. So I can have a very interesting looking army with goblins and elves and, maybe some goblin cavalry supporting an elf infantry unit or something. It makes for some very interesting armies on the tabletop. So that's the one thing that really drew me towards Oathmark. The other thing that drew me, of course, is, as is traditional with this author's games, you can use any miniatures you want. So you can have a pretty interesting variety of miniatures from different manufacturers. However, it is very important to state that Oathmark does have its own miniatures line. Okay, just like Frostgrave does, Oathmark has its own miniatures line, and those miniatures are looking really good. So if you're looking to getting into the game, there are miniatures specialized for it if you want to use their miniatures. And I may actually pick up a box or two of the miniatures just because I really like the aesthetics of the miniatures for Oathmark. So that being said, let's go to the tabletop now and check out Oathmark Battle. Okay, so here is the cover of the book, and again, this is on my Kindle, so I'm trying to reduce as much glare as possible. And this is the section on battle honors. And battle honors are interesting because they are like almost like an experience point system. But what happens is you can give some of your units that have performed really well in the game, you can give them battle honors, and these are points. And those battle honors could then be used to affect the game in one way or the other. So it could be maybe doing a reroll, or getting an extra activation or something like that. Now I haven't read the book thoroughly, okay? So what I'm talking about are first impressions. And so I like that system of battle honors. It really helps give you an incentive, right? And it helps the narrative. And so you get all of the this section here is all about awarding battle honors and what units will be able to receive battle honors. What are the conditions that you use to give your units battle honors? So it's really cool, and it could make a difference in a game. And there's a nice orc there looking all mean. Okay, and so it gives you a way of recording battle honors as well. Okay, and there it is. And then there's an example of how you would record battle honors. And again, they're like points. You're giving points to your units that could be used later. And then there's a little section on recruitment using battle honors. Okay, and just the rules that guide that whole system. Okay, and here is spending battle honors. So this will give you an example of what you can spend your battle honor points on. And I like that. It really does give your army, it almost gives you an incentive for the battle, right? It allows you to reward yourself for good gameplay, and that's pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to try to move on from the battle honors. You can see there's some tables here, and a good part of the first section of the book has to do with battle armor. Okay, and let me just pause here, and so now you have a section on engineers and riverine craft, and I love this whole thing here because I like making boats, and this presents you with some interesting ideas and rules, both for engineers who build siege equipment, and fortifications and that sort of thing. Gives me a lot of story ideas already, and boats, actually using boats and moving boats on the tabletop. Really cool. Okay, so and it gives you the different races for the different engineers. We're gonna skip some of that. You got orcs, goblins, a lot of different things. And then this is a little section on rivercraft. Okay, so very cool. You can have a battle taking place, let's say, on a river, where part of the army is on boats, and you got to figure out how to get them off those boats or fighting from those boats. Interesting. I like that. It's new. And there's a nice picture of a boat, of a river craft, and there you have some goblins against some dwarves. Traditional stuff. Okay, and then figures on boats and modeling boats. You have different sections covering different aspects of that. So very cool. I like that about this expansion. Okay, so the boat section of the book covers a lot of different things. Covers embarking and disembarking, rules for the boats, small boats, larger boats, right? It gives you some stats. So it's a very complete section. And now we go to military expeditions. And this is the narrative part of the game. This is where the book begins to give you scenarios. And that's another thing that I like about Oathmark is that it's a mass battle game, but it really emphasizes storytelling. And that's something we usually see with skirmish games. So that's very interesting. I really like that. And when I cover the main rule book, the core rule book, we'll talk about some other aspects of Oathmark that are actually quite different. And there is the Goblin Cavalry. I really love the way they depict their goblins. Um, they're more like proportional in body size. You know, they're not like the big-headed green dudes that you see in some fantasy. Not that there's anything wrong with big-headed goblins. I mean, don't mind. But it is nice to see something a little different, So, all right. So that pretty much covers everything. There's a lot of scenarios. I think more than half the book is scenarios for your games. So you have a lot of material here, and you have things like event tables and things like that. Weather, can have an effect on the game. Very, very cool. So I'm very excited about this. And there's some new special abilities for your armies. Aquatic, can add some cool beasties. And there you go. And this is from Osprey Games. Joseph McCullough is the author. And I'm very excited to try Oathmark with Julie in the future. So, good art, in the book. Not a lot of art. There's, it's kind of scattered, but it's great. It has really good art. I like it. So, there you go, folks. That is Oathmark Battle, and I hope to talk more about this game in the future and actually get some games on the tabletop. Have a good day, folks, and thanks for watching. Okay, and that was my little presentation on Oathmark Battle. I will be talking about the core rulebook in another video. I have read through some parts of Oathmark, and well, it's a very interesting rule set. I like what McCullough has done with Oathmark. It really sounds very interesting. So, folks, thanks for watching again, and I hope that the video came out okay. I'm gonna have to relook at it because this is the first time I'm filming from my Kindle, so or filming my Kindle rather, to show you some rules. All right, folks, more videos on the way. Have a good one.